massive, massive, massive. I mean, you have to have been living under a rock to not realize this, that we are looking at a storm of biblical proportions. I mean, this is a true disaster. Just an absolute screaming disaster. And you'll recall when Hurricane Sandy happened and hit New Jersey and New York, more or less a blue state and a blue state, all but one of the members of the Texas congressional delegation, both senators and all of the members of the House of Representatives, with one exception, voted against helping the people of New York and New Jersey with the damage of Hurricane Sandy. They voted against it. Mike Pence ultimately voted against it, but in the meantime kept attaching bizarre riders to the funding bill that he wanted Katrina relief to be paid for with cuts to Social Security and Medicare. This is Pence, Mike Pence, the vice president. When he was in Congress, was one of these craven little right-wing weasels who wanted to say, oh, yeah, sure, we'll give you money for Katrina. By the way, we're going to take it out of the Social Security and Medicare budgets. In fact, what Pence said about giving money to New Orleans, and I quote, excuse me, this was Katrina. I'm conflating Katrina and Sandy here. This was Katrina relief. This had to do with New Orleans, not New Jersey and New York. Justifying his cruelty, this is from shareblue.com. Pence told reporters at the time that Katrina relief and the rebuilding of devastated areas like New Orleans just had to wait because, quote, it is not acceptable to take a catastrophe of nature and turn it into a catastrophe of debt. Right. And of course, we can't raise taxes on rich people or on corporations because then they'd be paying taxes like they were in the 50s when America was prosperous and we had a strong middle class. We can't have that. Right. Meanwhile, in the last just 10 days before this, from Business Insider, Eliza Relman, just 10 days before Hurricane Harvey descended upon Texas on Friday, wreaking havoc and submerging hundreds of miles of land underwater, Donald Trump signed an executive order revoking a set of regulations that would have made federally funded infrastructure less vulnerable to flooding. The Obama-era rules, which had not yet gone into effect, would have required the federal government to take into account the risk of flooding and sea level rise as a result of climate change when constructing new infrastructure and rebuilding after disasters. This is such a classic example of, if Obama did it, we hate it. There's no other way to say it. If Obama did it, we hate it. It's just, that's what it comes right down to. And, this is common sense stuff. There's no other way to define it than common sense stuff. If you get taken out by a natural disaster, if you get, Houston has had 3 1 in 500-year floods in the last 3 years. Climate change is massively pumping up the power of these storms. I get it. Our media is afraid to talk about it. They don't want to lose the advertising revenue from the fossil fuel industry. But that's what's going on. It's real simple. Michael Mann has a great op-ed about this in the Guardian today. In fact, talking about this. So here we're in a world where climate change is warming the air. Warm air holds more moisture. There's a straightforward equation to this, but what it boils down to is every half a degree Celsius in temperature, roughly 1 degree Fahrenheit, a little less than 1 degree Fahrenheit, every one of those means that the atmosphere can hold somewhere between 3 and 5% more water in the form of water vapor. And of course, once that water vapor-rich air hits a colder air mass, that water precipitates out and is called rain. And when lots and lots of it come all at the same time, that's called a flood. The Gulf of Mexico is between 3 and 7 degrees warmer than normal. or then let's say the 1980 normal. And the atmosphere is a little over a degree warmer than the normal. Both of these are energy sources. Heat is energy. It's, you know, the random, the motion of molecules, Brownian motion, right? It increases as a consequence of the application of energy, in this case specifically heat energy. And so the way that that energy gets dissipated essentially or redistributed in the system is by things like tornadoes. Tornadoes take that heat energy and turn it into kinetic energy, into the movement of wind. And we are pumping more and more and more. Well, actually, the sun is pumping more and more and more energy into the earth, and that energy is being trapped by all the carbon dioxide that is being blown into the atmosphere by the refineries by the refineries all over the world, by the drilling operations and fracking and mining operations all over the world, and by the burning of these fossil fuels in order to move our cars around and things. A little moment of light here. Now, let me just put this out as a request. I don't know anything specifically outside of what I just read on their website about the Islamic Society of Greater Houston, other than that there's 20 some odd mosques. It was established in 1969. It was designed as a community center. ISGH now represents 21 communities from all over the greater Houston area. And the website is ISGH, Islamic Society Greater Houston.org, ISGH.org. And if you put /Harvey at the end, you get a page where the Islamic Society of Greater Houston is raising money to help victims of Hurricane Katrina. Now, I'm assuming that there are enough Muslims in the community who are in dire straits that probably most of the money that goes there is going to help members of that community. But they're also, you know, committed to reaching out to people around them, at least from what I'm reading on the internet. And it seems like, I just retweeted this a little bit ago, that a great way to help wake up the people of Houston, at least the Trump supporters who are left, would be to have Muslims come rescue them. I mean, I was thinking, oh, gee, should I, you know, I want to give $100 to somebody. Should I send it to the Red Cross? Should I send it to, who should I send it to? I think the Islamic Society of Greater Houston ISGH.org might be a good place to do that. There is just so much going on. Did you know that Texas lawmakers, and this is George P. Bush, and I'm not sure, I frankly don't remember whose son he is. He's not George W.'s son. He might be, I don't think he's Jeb. He might be one of Jeb's sons, or he might be one of Neil's sons, whatever. He is the Texas General Land Office Commissioner now, George P. Bush. He's Jeb's son. Thank you, Trey. And he sent a letter to Donald Trump, which was co-signed by 60 Texas state and local leaders. And this was sent out back in April. This is April 27, 2017. The headline, Texans want Trump to help build a wall. Really? Yeah. The Texans wanted Trump to help build a hurricane wall. Seriously. They want to protect the Galveston and Houston areas. And it wouldn't cost that much. They wanted $15 billion in federal funds. You know, it's a lot of money, but it's kind of on the order of what Trump wants to start building his wall with Mexico. Why not build? I mean, you know, if we're going to be jacking the weather, why not build a wall to protect us from the weather that we ourselves are creating?